It's a chilly morning, and I was trying to think how I'm going to come up with something to demonstrate system D, creating services, and also some other features. And something I came up with was maybe checking the weather. So there is a little service online that you can use to check weather. We're going to create a little shell script that goes out to that service, gets the weather information, stores it to a text file, and then we're going to turn that into a service. So we're going to wrap it into a service. So when the service executes, it goes out and gets the weather. And then we're going to use a timer that's part of System D. So in System D, you can make timers that will spawn services at whatever cadence you like. So it'll launch the service, it'll do its job, it'll cleanly close, and then when it's ready to launch it again, it'll launch it again. In older Linux, you might have used cron to do this. But we can, in newer Linux, we use a timer. So I'll show you how to set that up, and we're going to do it that way so that it's nice and clean. We don't have a service running in the background when it doesn't need to be doing anything. So one approach you could use to do this is to have it go to sleep for a while, but then it's still actually running and using some resources. So I'll show you what this looks like, just to give you a quick idea. This is what the little web page looks like. If you open up a web browser and you go to WTTR, short for weather.in, it'll give you the weather for whatever your IP address matches up to. And if you put a /, you can put something like a airport code, or you could put a zip code or a city name, and it'll find the weather for that city. So here you can see, oops, sorry, my watch. So you can see it's finding the weather at the Philadelphia International Airport. Just to show you as well, there is a help page, right? So this tells you what all the options are. So this is how I figured out which options would make the most sense for our little script. And I think what I ended up settling on to use for our script is we'll do KPHL for Philadelphia International Airport. And then I followed mine with format equals 3, and that just gives us a just the weather. There's nothing, just the current temperature and conditions, and that's it. So a really, really simple version of it. And the U makes sure that it's going to give it to us in US units, so it's not in Celsius. So that's the plan. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, in order to do this, you have to be able to consume a web page from the command line, because we're going to do it with a shell script. Curl is the utility that can do that. My system already has curl on it. I'm assuming yours probably does too. It's pretty standard in most distros. wget is the other option. You may have that already as well, but if you don't have curl, you'll have to install it. You'll use sudo apt install curl, right? It's a pretty common package. Once it's installed, then we can write our shell script. So I'm going to use VI to create mine. We certainly could have used Notepad++. But the reason I like to use VI is because it's short, and I don't want to worry about having to create my connection from Notepad++ using SSH. So I'm just going to do it right in here. So I already whipped up this little script. I'm going to copy and paste it into my screen. So this is the script. You can see I got it coded. If you don't pass in an airport code, it'll just assume Philadelphia, because that's where I am in that area. It just does a little bit of logging. So something new here I haven't talked about in this, most courses I don't really talk about it, but Logger, that just drops a log entry. So you can type that at the command prompt. You can type Logger, give it a give it a message to put in the log file, and it'll do it for you. Just an easy way to write some logs out to the journal. You're going to see what that looks like. So this is just going to log that it's trying to get the weather, and then that it got the weather, and it's going to write it into a text file. You can see the text file I'm putting in is weather.txt, which is under var log. And it's just a file to hold that weather, just somewhere ephemeral that we can put it so it can store it there when we get the weather. And that's where we're going to go and look at it to get the weather in the command line. So once you do this, we'll write that file. You do have to make it executable. So you're going to use the sudo command, use chmod plus x. We learned about this previously. And then the name of the executable. So mine is under, local. Now the reason I'm putting mine in local bin is that way I don't have to put an environment variable, right? Because that's already in the environment variable for looking for executables. So all I should have to do is type weather and it'll run. And assuming this works, which I think it might fail, let's give it a second here. So I ran it and it didn't work, and I think the reason is because I need sudo. Because the reason I need to use sudo is because we're writing to var log and you have to have permission to do that. So now that I ran it with sudo, there it is. So we have weather, and I can output the contents of weather.text. Oops, I need a var log weather.text, and there it is, right? So it worked. It got the latest weather report, dropped it into a text file, and I'm able to look at that by looking at the text file. So this is what I'd like you to turn in for this section, right? Just show me that your SS or your shell script works.